Hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of The Business of YouTube, first episode of the year. And today we have a special guest, Gregory Dray, and super special because he has been in the industry with different hats, from a broadcaster to executive in YouTube, and then as an entrepreneur, like the many lives of Greg. I had the pleasure to meet him along the way, and I'm very proud of having him as a first interview of the year. Welcome on board, Gregory Dray.
Thank you, Paola. Thank you for having me today. Happy New Year. It's a real pleasure to be with you today.
Nice to talk about basically the history of the kids content from one side to the other. And I would start from what you're doing now. If you want to talk about like your company, you started a couple of years ago, now 3 years ago, but it's already going great. And I want everybody to know more about what you're doing if they haven't heard of you yet.
Sure. So I had this amazing opportunity to co-found Animage in the first half of 2022, and basically the creation of Animage was informed a lot by what I learned at Google and YouTube. So I spent close to 10 years there, including the last 5 heading up the kids and family business internationally, including the fabulous opportunity to launch YouTube Kids, the separate standalone streaming service all over the world. And I realized year after year when I was there the disruption that YouTube was about to bring to the kids and family business in the good old days. I would say life was very simple for content kids content producers. You had a number of companies, big US studios, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Disney, controlling the audiences, controlling the eyeballs, and as a result, having enough resources to invest in the creation, development, and production of new original content, and also the acquisition of content. And with the advent of YouTube, little by little, a lot of things change. The incumbents lost the eyeballs. So less advertising revenues for their networks, less carriage fees, and at the end of the day, less money, to invest, to commission new content, but also to acquire new content. So and for the content, for the kids content producers, also a situation where you were competing against a relatively limited number of creators on linear television, with finite amount of content on linear television, to a world where basically you were competing and you are competing on YouTube against thousands, if not millions, of other creators. And I saw that it would change forever the way we would create, build, and nurture brands and franchises in the kids entertainment industry. And I realized there was a big space to build a next generation kids content company focused on IP ownership, focused on producing differently, faster, cheaper, focused on distributing content everywhere kids are, trying to customize content experiences depending on where you are putting where you are putting your content. Obviously, a company with a really deep and strong expertise to create, build, and develop audiences on YouTube in a context where YouTube has become the biggest point of entry to content for kids. 400 million kids a month, more than 400 million kids a month are tuning to YouTube. We've never seen, in the history of media, a platform so dominant, in kids' lives. So you need to understand YouTube, and you need to understand how to build audiences YouTube. If today you want to give yourself a chance to build a brand that can resonate with kids globally.
Well, you were in the right place at the right time, like when the whole disruption was happening with the kids content. Because I remember when I was at YouTube that it was obvious that kids content and gaming, they were like the two big disruptions happening in terms of numbers. And it was so obvious. I mean, it was massive. Like nobody knew at the time like how massive that would have been, but it was like incredible. And I remember the whole industry outside saying, "Well, yeah, no, it's not a big deal," and it was obvious. I mean, if you were in the inside, and you were perfect timing, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, for us, clearly, it was becoming obvious. Unfortunately, for the rest of the industry, you still had back in 2013, 14, 15, 16, still a lot of naysayers trying to perpetuate the old model whereby basically content producers were still waiting for the multi-million-dollar commission coming from the traditional players, traditional
Ouch.
broadcasters, and at some point, Netflix, which reversed course 2 or 3 years ago. So life was relatively simple, for kids content producers. Now it's another story because I mean YouTube is a different animal. This is an open platform governed by an algorithm. So it's for many players in the industry, trying to understand how YouTube functions, trying to understand how kids are approaching YouTube, are resonating with YouTube is a big deal. It's like, it's a different business. And, continuing on YouTube, the most complicated aspect of YouTube is that, I mean, the eyeballs have moved, as we said, to YouTube in droves. But the monetization, even if you are big, on that platform, remains really elusive. So for the new breed of kids content producers, it's not enough, to generate billions of views a year on the platform. You need to find a way to monetize, these billions of views. And this is really complicated. So this is another layer of disruption where, as kids content producers, we not only have to figure out, creating quality content that can resonate with audiences, but also find a way ourselves to monetize properly. And this is again
the full value chain, basically.
exactly. You absolutely need to basically expand the scope of skills, competencies uh, within your companies, within our companies, in order to continue to, survive and at some point,
Thrive. Yes.
shall thrive again. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But now, like, let's talk about a bit more about Animage. So you started 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, raised 100 million, bought IPs like Pocoyo, which, I mean, if anybody has not heard of Pocoyo, they probably lived in a cave or something, or they don't have kids, or like definitely like it's like people with no kids whatsoever, or no, and no kids in the family, relatives or whatsoever. It's like you really need to try to escape it. It's lovely, actually. I remember when I was a YouTuber, I was their account manager at a certain point when I was managing Spain, and I used to love it as an adult. I mean, it's just great content. It's like
This was
beautiful.
the very first kids IP, major kids IP, making the move to YouTube
Yeah,
back
because
in 2000. Back in
they started
2000.
super early. And their numbers were already incredible back then, and we're talking about 2000, I don't know, 9, 10, or something. So and especially because of as well, there's not much language, not much spoken language. So as well, it could be watched in whatever language you want, and it's so funny. But tell me more about your secret sauce. What is the type of approach you're taking to the market? Because you're not just producing, you're acquiring IP, but with a special kind of eye for monetization and distribution.
Absolutely. So we are acquiring IPs that have great reputation, which basically benefit from a decent level of awareness, if possible globally. But IPs that we believe have been unexploited, not fully exploited so far, and that have been struggling to align with the new dynamics of the marketplace. So Pocoyo fits perfectly um, with with that definition, because the IP was created back in 2002, had found success uh, quite quickly. Um, 40 plus industry awards. And distribution in more than 100 markets. But unfortunately, the past few years have been, I would say, uh, not very active, particularly from a content production standpoint. So uh, when we acquired Pocoyo, you had only 4 seasons of the show produced in a bit more than 20 years. So it's not a lot. It's
But
really,
four
really not.
seasons, yeah, but it's really not a lot.
Four seasons in more than 20 years. So it's very difficult, nowadays to keep the interest of kids of the new generation alive if you are producing on average, one new season of a show every 5 years. Okay, so and we felt like it was an IP that we could potentially refresh, rejuvenate, both from a creative standpoint, aging up the show, maybe starting to see Pocoyo speak finally in the show, bringing back some great talent that made the original success of the show, such as Stephen Fry as a narrator, and doing some taking some creative risks that we believe we needed to uh, take in order to give a new life to the show. And obviously, from a business standpoint, the ability for us to create more content um, and also differentiate the type of content we are creating. So one of the big points of differentiation we have at Animage is that we not just have one content pipeline that is undifferentiated and that we are using to populate indistinctively all the distribution platforms globally. We have two content pipelines. So we have one traditional content pipeline that is designed to feed our most traditional partners, SVOD platforms, as well as traditional linear TV networks with regular series, spin-offs, if not feature films. So this obviously an area we are continuing to invest in, and at the moment we are finalizing the production of the season 5 of Pocoyo. So this is one thing. But more interestingly, we have decided, and this decision has also been informed by what I learned, at Google and at YouTube, to create a separate content pipeline, a pipeline of original content, shorter form content that is designed to feed on a very regular basis our YouTube channels and social video in general. Okay, so we're talking here about, for Pocoyo specifically, about somewhere between 100 and 120 minutes of original, not re-edited, original content that we are producing specifically for YouTube and social video platforms, to make sure that we can build a relationship with the new generation on a daily basis, I would say.
And also, I guess there is the change, the behavior slightly change over time. So also, I guess that by always feeding with new content, you also get a lot of insights and data on what is the new behavior, and so then you can produce better for the broadcasters, like the traditional kind of approach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that content, that we are creating specifically for social video and YouTube in particular, is very complementary from the content the traditional content, the regular series that we are bringing to market. To tell you how complementary it is. So we are basically using that content pipeline to test new ideas, and also when it comes to Pocoyo, to build a proper musical universe that gives even more identity to the IP. I wasn't expecting when we decided to go down that path to get some interest from traditional players, including linear TV networks, for that type of content. And this is where it becomes really interesting. We've come full cycle, because that content that we are producing specifically with YouTube in mind is attracting also the most traditional players who want to use it to make their digital platforms more attractive. So we are licensing that content, this 100 minutes of original made for YouTube content. We are licensing on a non-exclusive basis that content on top of the premium content, the regular series in particular that we are creating to TV networks all over the world. So it says a lot.
Yeah, it's basically a nice byproduct.
Exactly. It says a lot about how the market has evolved, how the market is changing, and how, when you are in a position to create great content, the response can be positive.
And is that content to go on their OTT player, or is that to go on YouTube, or both in that case, just out of curiosity?
So it goes on their mostly on their OTT players. Sometimes it goes even on air, on air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on YouTube, it's going only to our channels that we are fully controlling, because I mean we are fully controlling our YouTube portfolio of channels. But that content is going mostly to their OTT platforms, and in some cases they are going also to the I mean to
On
linear.
TV.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, actually, this reminds me of the very first time actually when we met in Cannes at MIPCON 2010. I remember there was this, I was publishing on LinkedIn a while ago because there's this video recording of the panel. And I remember there was you, there was Jeff Nathan, and then there was Rai, and I think there was Patrick Walker, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
and you were representing Lagardère at the time, and I remember you probably just signed the deal with YouTube not much earlier. And I remember the case of Rai there, where they were talking about non-cannibalization of content in the player and on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember it was like, and YouTube was celebrating the 5th year of existence. I mean, we're talking about another era in theory. In reality, is not that far away. I mean, not for us, maybe for us it seems like ages, and it seems like, come on, that's a century. But in real life, it's not that long. But like what you're saying is basically the cycle is finally coming to the point in which, like, actually it makes sense for everyone, like that kind of reasoning, and it was making sense already in 2010. Like it was, in a way.
I totally agree. It was already making sense in 2010, but it took, 15 years for the industry to realize that, I mean, you just need to serve content where people are, and when people want that content to be served. So we shouldn't think about cannibalization. We should think about the smarter ways to reach your audience. So it took indeed quite a bit of time, for the industry to understand that basically you could obviously ignore YouTube, but at your own perils. So it was not very clear back in 2010. I think today, as I was saying at the very beginning, uh, if you are at least in the kid space, but what happens in general in the kid space, is the
Yeah,
prefiguration
exactly.
of
Then
what
you change
happens.
the generation.
Yeah, of what happens, in other categories, just after. Uh, I mean, whether we like it or not, you cannot ignore the fact that you have 400 million kids on that platform on a monthly basis. So if you want to build a brand and if you want your brand to be relevant, you need to be there. The big question is, how do you want to be there? Do you want to replicate, copy and paste, the linear experience, or do you want to offer content that is, maybe more short form, more dynamic, I mean, different from the regular content that you are generally offering? And I think this is the big question. The big question is not to think about cannibalization. It's about creating the right content experience for the right platform. Okay, but clearly you need to be everywhere today. We are living in a fragmented world with so many platforms. AVOD, SVOD, fast. So many different content experiences you can develop. So the idea is really to be as smart as possible, to try to understand what your audience want, and to serve your audience, and to, I mean, uh, every, make sure that everything you are doing is in the interest of your audience.
Well, ultimately, for media, it's always the audience that matters, what the audience wants and how they consume the content. That is what the product is. So it's just that it wasn't changing so fast in the last century, but now it's a reminder that the audience is the one that is deciding what is next. So as in the media space, you need just to try to capture what the user behavior is and where to go and how to adapt, surviving and thriving at the same time. Because of course, like disruption comes at a cost. It's not that easy from an industrial point of view.
Yeah,
It's never
absolutely.
easy, but it
Yeah,
comes and you can't avoid it.
yeah. I mean, in general, it's better to embrace disruption rather than being passive and or try to hide yourself from the disruption, because at some point the wave the wave is becoming too strong, and too high, and I mean you are at risk of disappearing, if you don't want to adapt, or if you don't want to see the reality, the reality as it is. So, I mean, coming back to what's going on in the kid space, it's very, very complicated today for the industry as a whole, because for a number of years, you've had a number of players who've, I mean, whether they decided to hide themselves, from the reality, or had a complicated relationship with YouTube, and today you have a number of companies struggling really, really hard financially speaking, uh, some going out of business, and and this is clearly a very, very difficult situation that the industry is currently facing, and the only idea is to try to reinvent ourselves and to, I would say, reinvent everything, reinvent the way we produce content, uh, reinvent the way we are distributing content, and also reinventing the way we are monetizing content. I was alluding to the fact that it's not enough today to generate billions and billions of views on YouTube if you are leaving the keys of monetization to YouTube, and if you are not taking, you're not able to take your destiny into your own hands by uh, going directly to brands and selling your premium inventory directly to brands, uh, because YouTube made the conscious decision not to prioritize kids monetization, because kids monetization is going with a lot of constraints, and YouTube is a scale platform with a scale global sales force, which is absolutely not interested in digging deeper into contextual advertising, and unfortunately, kids content cannot be
Yeah, it's definitely like not easy there. Yeah.
through contextual advertising. So it's not that it's not easy, it's that it's very different from the way other types of content, other content categories are monetized on YouTube. So all content categories on YouTube are monetized through targeted advertising. And targeted advertising is a model Google is very comfortable with. This is their bread and butter. This is really their strong expertise. So why would you like them, to uh, create? I mean, uh, to invest a lot of resources to try to crack contextual advertising, which is a thing for only one content category, kids. So it's complicated.
Ultimately, the platform, I mean, the DNA of the platform is targeted advertising. That's the DNA of the company, period.
That's the
So
DNA of the company.
the DNA doesn't change. Like whatever company doesn't change the DNA, it does change the approach to the market, can change many different things. But the DNA is not something you would ever change. That's something to learn,
Uh,
like anyway.
completely,
So it's not going to happen.
completely agree. So that's why I mean, and it was a really tough decision to make, because uh, it involves, um, a lot of elements, including a lot of investment that you need to make. But so we decided to create our own ad sales force so that we can go directly to brands, directly to media agencies, and sell them um, our premium inventory on YouTube. So across our premium brands like Pocoyo, and give them, the guarantee, give these brands a guarantee of the placements, because of the placements, and making sure that these brands will be able to advertise and are able to advertise against brand safe, premium content, and relevant content. So this is our promise, and we believe this is a very strong promise that can really differentiate ourselves and really enable, the advertisers to get a better return on ad spend, uh, us to better monetize, and us to better monetize our premium inventory, because we are talking about premium brands and premium brand safe inventory here.
Well, yeah, basically getting the best of both worlds, like the broadcaster world where you're selling at a premium with like clear understanding what they're buying on the online platform with the right numbers, but you're producing as well in the right way, which is like the new era of production way in a way. So I think it's bold in a way what you're doing, but definitely that's the beginning of a whole new era of how to approach high quality content that goes in different directions, and it's not one direction only. I mean, you need to build a business that is where YouTube is massive for business, and you need to build a business that is like 360 and leverage it as much as
360.
possible.
Absolutely, we need to be everywhere. So that's why, YouTube is important, because, as I said, the eyeballs are on YouTube. So you cannot ignore that. You cannot ignore that reality. So you need to be really, really strong and be really, really expert at building audiences on YouTube and nurturing audiences on YouTube on a daily basis, and then monetizing these audiences. But you need to be everywhere. So continuing to feed and to feed our most traditional partners. So continuing to work as in a very smart way with linear networks and SVOD partners, building and growing our licensing and merchandising business. Apps and games are really an area where kids are spending an increasing amount of time. So we need to be there and create experiences that can really resonate with them. And also, there's, according to us, a white space in kids and families that remains, and that we are really, really trying to go after. It's original music for kids. If you're taking a look
Yeah.
at the landscape today, obviously Disney has done a really great job, creatively speaking, to create iconic music for kids for, 2, 3, or 4 generations, if not more. Disney is also monetizing that music extremely well. More recently, there's a company like Moonbug, who's become really, really successful monetizing children's music.
They've done
Uh,
an amazing job on the music side as well, to be fair.
they've done they've done an amazing job on the music side. So we believe there's really something to be done on the creative side, obviously, in creating original music, more engaging original music. Because when you look at the overall offering today, I wouldn't say this is poor, but I wouldn't say that there's a lot of high quality and engaging music designed for kids. So we want to play our part here, and obviously being as expert as possible in the monetization of music distribution, obviously, but also music publishing, which is becoming a huge area of focus for us.
Yeah, music is. I bet there's going to be a massive growth pace there because it's. I agree with you. It's like while there is a lot of content for kids, like it's massive competition in a way. On the music side, there's not as much, and it's complex. It's not that easy either, but there's a massive opportunity for growth, and you're definitely set up for the next few years. You're not going to be bored. But now,
Yeah.
last question of the for today, because we're running out of time. I would go forever. Like to be honest, it's a very interesting chat. But in this journey, like you've been in the industry with different hats, like as we said at the beginning, for a good while now, and now as an entrepreneur, like what are you most proud of? What makes you proud? Whatever that is, like could be anything really, but I think there's probably going to be some
But
gems there.
proud for me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say that if there's really something I'm proud of, it's been the ability I had to challenge myself and to reinvent myself. Um, so more recently as an entrepreneur, in order to further innovate and and have a positive impact, on the industry and also on the audiences, in many different capacities I've been trying to serve. So at the moment, I'm very um, excited about this ability that I have to have a positive impact on the lives of kids all over the world, trying to build a modern kids content company designed for the future, designed for the new world we are living in. I used to tell my teams that we should never forget the reason why we are here. We are here to provide joy, happiness to kids all over the world. We have a responsibility because we are living in a world with a lot of tensions, divided societies, and we are blessed because we are coming to work on every day to try to bring some joy to kids all over the world and to have a great impact and positive impact on them. So we should never forget this, the reason why we are here. So I would say I'm really proud to. I'm not proud, but really grateful to be in the position where I am to bring some positive change to an industry I really love and hopefully make a difference with the distinctive mission that we have at Animage at the moment.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think, well, you definitely reinvented yourself, and you could have not done that. I mean, you were in brilliant positions all the time, and you could have said, okay, just enjoy life and the paycheck, but you didn't. And I think that choosing is the best thing ever because then you can do where you can make a difference. And I'm sure that you are and you will.
Thank you.
I can see that spark.
It's not easy to leave Google. It's not
It's
easy
not
to leave.
easy. It's not easy, but if when it's the right time and the right choice, then it's a must because then I think we were all bold enough to join at a certain point. When, I mean, at least in my case, I joined when people were asking me, why are you going to Google? And that was 2006. And I was like, why not? They were like, see, you're not an engineer. No, I'm not. But this is going to change the world, just for you to know. And they were all looking at me like, you are weird. You don't understand how the economy works. I was like, okay, whatever. And then look what happened. And then I joined YouTube, etc. And then, I mean, we do our choices because we want to change something, even if the common sense tells you like, I mean, just you're doing right, just keep going. Well, keep going is boring. Just that's it. So, well, I think we have the responsibility to try to do something better, at least. Then we
Yes.
might succeed or not, and whatever, we take the failure and just move on. But we can actually succeed, and it would be such a I would say so sad not to even try. We are fortunate enough to actually have the knowledge, the people, the network, the energy to do it. I mean, we have to, don't we?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we are blessed. I think it's a blessing to have had this incredible opportunity to learn so much at Google and YouTube. So what are we taking, with these learnings? What are we taking from that experience to change the world and to, I mean, at least, change the world as much as we can in a good way in as entrepreneurs. So this is my perspective, and I mean, every day I'm trying to uh, ask myself, the right questions, and to remind, why I'm here, and I think and I think it's very uplifting when you believe you can make a difference by taking the lessons and the learnings from um, Google, which is one of the most exciting companies out there, and continuing also to exchange with former colleagues, at Google, like you, who are wise and smart enough to really understand the opportunities you have, but also the challenges you are facing in changing the world,
Well,
trying to change the world.
thank you, Greg, for joining me today. And I hope we have another interview in a year time or 2 years time. And I'm really hoping to see like all the progress. You have a lot to do. Don't get
Yeah,
bored.
yeah.
No time.
Very, very, very busy. There's a lot to do, and I think
Yeah.
2025 is going to be a very important year for us to take the company in a new at a new level, in a new dimension. So fingers crossed, in the next few months, you're going to hear a lot more from us, and we'll be even. Um, I mean, we'll be hopefully really in a really good position to make a strong difference, and a real difference in the industry.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. I'm cheering for you, 100%. All right. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Greg. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Paula. Bye bye.